I got a great guest today, Mark Consuelos, who kind of everybody loves. He is, of course, the co-host of Live with Kelly and Mark, him being Mark. It's on everywhere, obviously, around the country. You check your local listings. And interesting enough, I don't know if everybody knows this, the #1 talk entertainment show. I mean, that includes late night, daytime. I knew it was the #1 daytime, but it is the #1 entertainment talk show, period.
I know.
I know, really.
That's pretty big. It was #1. It's been #1 for a long time. So when I came onto the show, I said, there's only one place to go from here.
Yeah, exactly. I knew whose fault it's going to be.
Oh gosh, yeah. No, but we've been lucky enough to maintain those ratings.
So how has anything changed in your marriage since you started doing? Obviously, you guys, it's one thing to live together and raise kids together and be married together, and you guys have a notoriously wonderful relationship. But now you add this into the sauce. How do things change?
Incredibly, not very much. The only thing that's changed is I would say that, Kelly would go to bed early during the week, and I could never figure out why. I'm like, our friends wanted to have dinner like at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. They'd be visiting. No,
I see you at Polo, and you guys are usually at the 6:30 seating. I mean,
exactly. And now I understand why. I mean, I apologized to her once I got the job. I'm like, oh, all those late dinners in the middle of the week on a school night where you didn't want to go and you still went. I get it. So I think that's the biggest thing that we're both, during the week, it's very, we go to bed early, we get our notes for the show the day before, we look at them. We work together. We started working together. That's how we met. So we worked together on a soap on All My Children for 7 years.
22 years
22 years ago.
Or more than that. Yeah. I'm just saying she left 22 years ago, but you started in 28
years ago, almost 29 years ago.
Right. Yeah, 96. Yeah. 96. And, wow.
And then we got married like a year and change later. And, that was long. You're shooting an episode of a television show a day, 60 pages a day, sometimes pieces of other shows. So it wouldn't be abnormal for me to have 40 to 50 pages of dialogue a day. And we commuted. We moved to New Jersey during that time. That was tough. And we had small kids. Now we're an empty nest. And I don't know, it's kind of great. I mean, it's pretty smooth.
It's interesting because most of my friends are empty nesters, and I found that the people that have really good marriages, it makes it even better, and the people that don't, it makes it worse because it's no longer. Sometimes people get to the point where like the kid's not there anymore, and you go, "Oh, it's just you and me." What the fuck?
Right. No, I think for us, it was when our youngest went to college. It was, it was kind of. It wasn't like devastating to our marriage, but it was. I was devastated.
Yeah, your guts are ripped out. Yeah,
I really didn't expect that. I would be brushing my teeth, during the summer, and all of a sudden be overcome with like grief. And she's like, "What's wrong?" I go, "I can't believe, And it's funny. I was the one when they were small that couldn't wait. I'm like, I can't wait. I can't wait till I can like read the New York Times. I can't wait till I can, get up whenever I want. And now, it happened way, way too fast.
Yeah, I got one in 10th grade, and I'm dreading her leaving in 2 years. Hey, I want to go back to the beginning when you guys met. I love the story of how basically Kelly was already on All My Children, and she saw your headshot, and she said that was it. She fell in love. I mean, that must have been a pretty strong headshot.
I wish I could see the headshot. It was, I was from Tampa, so I'm not sure how good the headshots were down there.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I guess it was a good headshot. I moved. I flew up to New York for the audition. I had just graduated college. And I think it was maybe 2 or 3 months after I graduated. Before I graduated, I started taking an acting class. Donny, I was a marketing major. I was like in your line of work. I was like,
I know. I saw it at Florida, South Florida University.
USF, yeah. But yeah, I got an agent, because they were doing shows. They started doing TV projects in Florida. They thought that was going to be another studio, big area where people would go down and start shooting. Right. And I was able to get an agent, and 3 months later, I was on one of my first auditions, big auditions, and I never left New York.
And what do you remember feeling when you met Kelly for the first time? I mean, she for her was love at first sight.
Donny, I don't know, man. I was, this is what I wanted to do for a living. Like it was my dream, and I was realizing my dream after just a few months.
Which is almost unheard of. It's almost unheard of.
It totally is. And I was so blown away. I was in New York City. I'd visited a couple times. My plan was to move to New York City after I graduated, after a few months, and then move to New York and study at the studios, one of the studios there, and get a job at a restaurant and become like that actor. Because I didn't know that much about the craft, and I really wanted to learn it and get good. And so to actually have kind of skipped over that and had this opportunity to work on a great show. I remember when I first met her, she was amazing. I mean, I met her in the rehearsal hall the day before my screen test. They introduced us. They said, "Hey, you guys are going to be screen testing tomorrow. I just want you to meet Kelly Ripa." And she was hilarious. She was in rollers, and she had I think she had toothpaste on a blemish. And he was like,
"Right,
you don't want this job. Look what they do to you." And so when I first met her, I couldn't even fathom the idea of actually like that. Okay, that's going to be my girlfriend, or oh my God, I was so out of my league, out of my depth, just being in New York. It didn't quite hit me until we started working together. And I remember, Donny, I think when it first hit me, she wore the best shoes. She always had these really sexy.
I love women's shoes. I got it.
And she dressed really cool, like devil may care, right? Like this, and this like sweatshirt or like the sweater kind of off like this. We smoked then, and the way she smoked a cigarette, I said, "Oh my God, this is like a French perfume commercial." Yeah. I was smitten again. I go, "Oh yeah, cool. This girl is gorgeous, and she's smart, and she had all these books in her dressing room that she read." I mean, I had barely read
a book.
And she knew so much, and she was just so, I don't know, there was something about her. I keep doing this because the way it was just, I don't know, I found her extremely, extremely sexy. But I think that's when it hit me. It was like when we started rehearsing together and spending more time together, like in her dressing room. It's like, wow, this woman is really special.
It's interesting. Work is actually the most natural way to meet somebody. Obviously we've gone through this whole Me Too thing, but when Jay Leno ended his show after his run, the final thing he did, he opened up the curtain and here are all the families that met on my show. He was so proud of it. I ran an agency. I loved when people, it's the most natural, it's now the world has changed, and obviously superior and subordinate
Sure.
is a whole different thing if it's a direct boss. But it's the most natural way to meet somebody. It's a shared passion. You're spending all your time together, especially in the arts.
Absolutely. I think, and she jokes is that if we met in today's world, she would have been brought up on HR charges.
Yeah,
for sure. And I'm like, wait, were you in a position of prominence? I think we were both at the same spot. Who are you kidding? I was here 7 years before you. But we spent, Donny, you're right. We spent so many hours together. And there was another married couple on the show, Eva LaRue and John Callahan. They met and they got married on the show. I'm probably missing a few others, but there were other people dating on the show. We spent 12, 13 hours a day. We didn't know anybody else. You're there for 60 hours a week. You don't have time to meet.
That's what you're doing. It's all your waking hours. Right. I know it. So your wife has a great Instagram. She kind of is very open about some photos she shows of you, and you're in great shape. You're ripped. You make us all look bad. And I know your kids sometimes have issues with that, particularly your daughter Lola is like, ugh, what are you doing? When you see her posting something, what's your first reaction?
I usually don't put too much weight on anything Instagram related, social media related. I know it's a necessity for our business. And if it wasn't, I wouldn't have it. So I don't take a lot of stock in it. I don't care. If she asks me if she wants to post something, I barely look at it. I'm like, sure, whatever you want. You're funny. You're great. Your captions are awesome. I really don't have that much of a reaction to it. Yes, when the kids were a little younger, when they were living in the house, my daughter would be like, why are you doing that? That's disgusting. He's my dad. Or, something silly like that, or vice versa. But I think that's a natural reaction of a kid and their parents.
your chemistry speaks for itself. That's what worked. By the way, even if you weren't married, it's all about chemistry on the air, and you have that going in, and you certainly have it on the air. And you guys get a little frisky sometimes the way you talk. Your wife you talk that sometimes in the bedroom you can like a little dirty talk. I'm right there with you, buddy. I mean that's in Spanish, so I don't do it in Spanish. What's off limits? Where's the line? Because you want to let your audience in, you want to bring them in, you want to metaphorically bring them into your bedroom, but what's off limits?
I think if you watch the show, anybody who actually watches the show and is not like read something that they took out and out of context and then like made it something else, as they do is for clickbait. And I know the game, that's what they do. They want to get people to click on it. Yeah. I think they would understand that if a person hasn't, the people that do understand that. I guess the line that we talked about it, and the way I like to describe it is if you're having lunch or brunch, because that's exactly kind of the time frame that we're doing it, breakfast, lunch, brunch, whatever's like okay for that type of conversation, that's the line. And obviously, we know each other so well at this point. I know the line, and she knows the line for me. And it's almost like even like a look, or kind of like if I don't know or if she doesn't know, we don't even get close to. We don't get close to it at all. But all the other stuff, I think, is the game. It's like she said, I think she complained that I snored and she'd rather I sleep outside, and it was hilarious. It was funny.
And then everybody picks up, Kelly doesn't want to sleep in the same bed with Mark.
Vanished to the woods outside, blah, blah, or she'll, one of the items for the day will be something about, it could be, sex related, has nothing to do with us, or a show that's based on some sex thing. And we talk about it and it's hilarious or entertaining. And then somehow we're like these sex crazed people. We're not. I mean, that's just not it.
No, but I think what people like to know, there's so many couples out there that don't have, after a lot of years, don't have chemistry anymore. And you always hear about all these sexless marriages. It's nice to see a couple that kind of your sense are still hot for each other. And I think that really works for you guys. I think it really does.
Definitely hot. There's, I'm definitely hot for her, for sure. I think that's the key. She still does it for me. And I still get the butterflies,
You're a lucky guy after all these years. I always ask every guy, as a guy who's had 2 failed marriages, I don't want to say failed because they lasted and I have kids, but I always become a little bit of a student when I meet somebody that really appears to have a very strong marriage. And so what's the secret? Like if I just, we're having a drink and I go, okay, so why does it work? What works?
I would say that I found someone that we are able to dream about the future together. It started when we first got together, when we first got married, and we were, in some fabulous hotel, which we would probably not feel as fabulous as now, but we're like, oh my God.
Oh my God. It's got its own shower.
What's this funny toilet?
Right.
And we would, and we would take a walk, and I can remember countless walks, whether it was hiking or walks on the beach, and we would have fun, like planning out our life. And wouldn't it be great when this, and we should go here, or we should go there, or, we always wanted to live here. Wouldn't that be amazing? And seeing those dreams come true. I think the one piece of advice I'd be like, find someone that you can dream with, who doesn't think you're crazy when you tell them your dreams, that you don't go running when they tell them yours. I think that if you want to boil it down for me, I think
that's a great answer.
That's it. That's what it is for us.
So what's the dreams for the next 10, 15 years now?
Gosh, she doesn't like me talking about this too much because I totally get why, but I can't wait to have grandkids. I cannot wait to have,
It's all the good and none of the pain in the ass. It's every grandparent will tell you the same thing. It's just, it's like great. And then like here.
Yeah. And I get and I watched my dad with my kids, and my dad was a great dad.
My dad,
great dad, also, but very busy, and he was, always traveling and
working. Same thing, yeah.
Getting
It's different when they're
getting
grandparents. It's
degrees,
different when they're
and
grandparents. So yeah.
I had plenty of conversations with him when I knew he was kind of maybe thinking about something else. But the focus he has now with like watching him when my kids were younger, even now, the focus he has with my kids, I think that at that stage in my life, hopefully, you know, some things will be slowing down in my career where I can just maybe focus a little bit, be a little less distracted than I was with my kids. We're always distracted, you know, and we live in New York City and schools and work and whatever. Life is a lot. And so I'd love to be as focused as I maybe a little more focused on and doting on the grandkids, and I get to hand them back, like you said.
You get to hand them back. We live a couple of blocks away. You guys are notoriously known for being normal. I mean, you're both obviously very high profile, yet you've managed to raise what seems like 3 great kids. There's been nothing's ever in the press that's not supposed to be there. What's been the formula for that?
I think, you know, Kelly's from a small town in South Jersey. I don't know the population, but it's small. I spent 10 years, you know, from first grade to my junior year in high school, or sophomore year in high school, rather, in a small farm town, like in Lebanon, Illinois, 3,200 people in the town. I lived on the edge of the city limits. I think we're small, like super small town people. I know it's weird. We live in New York City. Our parents are still, both sets of parents are still together, super family oriented. Nobody in our family is really impressed with what we do. They think it's silly. You know?
Yeah, it's amazing. Kids will bring you down to earth.
I'm talking about our extended family. Like you know, my brother went to Princeton and doctor, and he's like, "What? What do you do?
You talk? They pay you to talk to people?
Not only you're a doctor, but I've played a doctor on TV, and I'm pretty sure I made more money than you."
Right.
And he went to Princeton, and you know, he kind of lorded that over me for many years. But then I was asked to speak at Princeton, and Donny, I called him up. I said, "Hey, Mike." He goes, "Hey, what's going on? I'm busy right now." I go, "No, well, you can just give me 2 minutes." Guess where I am right now? He goes, "I don't know, some Hollywood party or something." I said, "No, I'm in Princeton, New Jersey." He goes, "Oh yeah, what are you doing there?" I go, "I'm actually inside. I'm sitting in the admissions office. I'm about to speak at Princeton University." "Have you ever spoken at Princeton University? Have they ever called you back to speak?" He goes, "No."
That's amazing. Good for you.
Go,
Good for you, that
noise?
man.
And there was a printer going zzz, zzz. I go, "They're printing me out an honorary degree."
At moments like that, do you ever kind of wait for somebody to tap you on the shoulder and go, "You out of here? Come on." Most really successful people have a healthy sense of fraudulence.
Yeah, what they call that?
Where you go, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's what do they call it? Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, you know, I think it really is normal. I mean, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And sometimes I'm like, "Oh, I have imposter syndrome. I can't believe I'm this kid from Florida that, you know, I'm here and this is my life. And, you know, we have this great family." And so and with work for me, sometimes I would let it get in the way a little bit. You know, I'd be sitting there in the green room or with other actors waiting for, you know, backstage, waiting for them to turn the cameras around. And this kid went to Yale. This actress went to Carnegie Mellon, you know, NYU. And I jumped out of, you know, a marketing degree, took a few classes and jumped right into the soaps. And I used to get really kind of anxious about it, or I would think about it too much. And I think it actually if we think about it too much, it definitely will limit us, and it'll keep us right where our brain says you're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to be there. You should be down here. And so I've been working on that recently. I've been working on, like, you know what? You're here for a reason. Now go hit it out of the park. You know, so that's been kind of my new take on imposter syndrome. And I know it's a very, very common thing. It's a very, very common thing.
Yeah, it's actually healthy. Yeah. Where do you guys are an entertainment show, and the world is so fucked up right now, and people are not tuning in to hear that from you. Yet you do your riff every day. Where will you go as far as getting? Because it's so, you want to connect with people. It's so on people's minds now. Yet that's not what they're coming to you for. But yet you're sharing yourselves as humans. So where? I don't want to say where's the line there, but where is your gut say? Well, we just don't go here.
Donny, I got to tell you, man, the first thing we do when the alarm goes off at 6 o'clock in the morning, we turn on Morning Joe.
There you go. Chauffeur.
We love you guys. I love when you're on there.
Thank you.
Always
Thank you.
Really great. We made a joke. I call it the morning hose. Let's put on the morning hose. She goes, "You want to watch the hose? Let's watch the hose." And I love starting my day. It's sobering. It's sobering. You guys do such a great job of.
Joe and Meek are just, and they've created like a family there. It's really, it's a special place. I feel really privileged.
I agree, and we're such big fans. I mean, please tell them we watch them every. Not that they care, but another married couple watches another married couple on TV.
Right, okay, right.
Love that show. So so where will we go? So October 7th happened, and October 9th is Monday, and our assignment is to lift people up and to give them a smile, because we know a lot of our audience is either a mom at home with a newly born baby, people in the hospital, that time of day, they're home. And they're sometimes
nobody wants to be smacked in the face.
Yeah, so that's that's the assignment, is to whatever's going on in the world to. So
how did you handle it? Just in touch.
No. Some things you have to address. We right off the top, we talked about the horrific images that we woke up to on Saturday morning, and we pray for all the people that were affected by this. And we said for the quick return of the hostages, and just we have so many friends and family that have been affected by this. If you live in New York, there isn't someone that you don't know that knows someone that's been affected by this. And so some things are unavoidable. And you have to address it, say that, okay, it's here, we addressed it. Now it's our job to take you away for an hour, not so much to, forget it, but maybe just a distraction for an hour. And that's, and Kelly was on the air on September 11th. She was on the air while it was happening. They were, the news reporters were racing down to the scene. So they're like, roll, keep going. And she talks about that. And, and I would say, I just started doing this 6 months ago. And so for the past 23 years, I would often send her off to work after a school shooting, which are the worst. That to me, that's the worst. And she's like, I don't know how I'm going to do this today. And I'd say, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And I really didn't appreciate what she said until, that happened on that Monday. And I'm like, oh man, this is rough. But yeah, I think it's not our job to dwell on it, but you can't ignore it. And
no, that's a good answer. So what you talked about being a grandfather. So what else? What if you were going to dream, your word, next 10 years for you?
I'd love to be hiking in a mountain somewhere. Seriously, I love Colorado. Building a house out there. I love Colorado so much. And find an ocean somewhere else where I can go half the other year. And really what we've done, Donny, is we're building 2 grandkid magnets, because it's important.
That's the key. Yes, that's the key. Same thing.
First in line when the holidays come, and the
Amen. My smart friends and the ones who are in a position to do it, they realize it. And it's interesting. I have a house out east, and it's not conducive to that, and I'm probably going to trade it into something else. You're very smart.
We don't know who they're going to marry, our kids. We don't know who they're going to marry.
You want to be the number one destination with the most toys, and the best setup for the grandkids. You got so where are you building, or where are you thinking about? What are you doing real estate wise?
In Colorado, we have a town that's a little small town there, and somewhere in the Caribbean that we already have. We also have a little place in Ann Arbor that I really love. One of our kids goes to Michigan.
Wow, love that.
And we stayed in the hotel there one night when we went to visit him, and when we went to drop him off, he's a wrestler there. We knew we'd be going back there a lot. And I said, we can't stay in that hotel again. And so we found this little bitty small townhouse in this cool part of town.
Oh, that's so
cool.
I
could see us in the Midwest somewhere. I really could. And Ann Arbor's pretty big. I mean, it's a college town. There's, 50,000 students. But it feels small. And everywhere, I like somewhere that kind of feels small.
I got you. Hey, Mark Consuelos, I know how busy you are. I really appreciate you taking the
Thanks,
time.
man. Big fan.
Thank you, buddy. Live with Kelly and Mark. See it everywhere, every city, every town, everywhere you got it.
Thanks,
Thank you,
man.
buddy. Everybody, thanks for watching. If you like it, hit that subscribe button. And we love having you here watching On Brand. And just don't miss any future episodes. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.